bad, y'all. 10 minutes early. Early is on time is late. So we're early. Anywho, the beginning of the week. What went off? This just went off. All right. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again. Happy beginning of the work and school week. Yeah. Um, we're early because of a technical hiccup. My bad, y'all. Turns out I'm so tech savvy that I accidentally hit stuff a lot. Anywho, given the fact that I am early, I'm gonna try not to keep y'all too long. Ain't that what the pastors and stuff say? I'm gonna try not to keep y'all too long, but I guess we can start off with discussing the master class, and then we'll discuss what this lab was supposed to be about, so that way, if people were intending to tune in at 8, they will not be late to the party about the information that this lab is supposed to cover tonight. So, to deep dive into the free masterclass, with 2021, we decided to roll that out for our community. You know, last year was a tough year for everybody. This year has started off real interesting. So the goal of this year is to make sure that even more households, families, and communities can be empowered with the necessary fundamental skills to not go through any of the struggles that um, so many households was burdened with due to the unforeseen circumstances surrounding the coronavirus, surrounding school closings, uh, federal shutdowns nationwide, and families now needing to know how to, and job losses. We had millions of job losses. We still have millions of job losses, and they're just drastically increasing, right? Because now we're going through these stagger shutdowns with even less government subsidies to compensate for the difference. And so, for those reasons, and I'm not sure how many other people's school districts are doing it, but my daughter's homeschooled for the rest of the year. Um, and it appears, due to the second wave, that even more schools are going to go full homeschool curriculums for the rest of the school year as well. And so, in the event you're not in the economic situation to be able to accommodate now having to homeschool a child full time, as well as uh, compensate for the fact that there are added expenses with that, along with now trying to figure out how to balance maintaining an income for your household with your child being here 24 hours, 7 days a week. We really want it to be very, very proactive and starting to bridge the gap for our communities. This masterclass, it is not a long masterclass. It's only it's just over, we expect it to be just over 30 minutes, maybe 30 to 45 minutes max. It's going to be available for people to sign up for live. So right now you can sign up for live, or you can opt in through the same sign up link to just get the recording. And so in the event you go that route, you'll get the recording once the live course transpires. In the event you want to attend live, you'll receive the follow-up email that tells you exactly what you need to do to make sure you have all the details to attend live. Um, Either way, it is completely free. There's no like, oh, it's free until you get there and then there's an entry fee or something. No, it's like completely free. And we are really, really focused on making sure we at least have this starter point for our community to have those wheels churning and have those seeds planted to have a remote idea of what they don't know that they don't know, right? A lot of people, it's not a situation where they don't care, it's just they have no personal point of reference to guide them in the right direction. And it's hard to just wander aimlessly looking for a sign or some direction. Um, so that's what this masterclass is about. This masterclass is about getting your starting focal point to start to fill in some of the gaps or the missing pieces of the puzzle that allow for you to lay some sort of foundation to build on economically. Um, the link is everywhere. We also have ads running everywhere, which I'm really stoked about. So in the event you even just have ever attended any of our stop shop sites, if you've ever signed up or purchased anything through us, the ad should come you should come in contact with one of our ads anyway. But they should retargeting the game. Don't do that. We're retargeting, yeah. So you should come in contact with one of our ads anyway. Which, not to go super far off bases, since I mentioned the ad thing, I also want to acknowledge that we enrolled in this very, very, very boss ad accelerator program about 3 weeks ago. 9 times out of 10, I at least posted about it once, and it is worth every penny. It has been so informative. I'm the first person to admit when I don't know what I don't know. And I'm even more ecstatic to acknowledge when I'm learning new things. And I will tell you guys, prior to last night, since enrolling in this program, I have been sleeping maybe 3 to 4 hours, just off the strength that I have been learning and implementing daily with our team to build an understanding of the things that we know now. Um, it was so much work. It still is so much work. We're only halfway through it, 3 weeks in, right? It's supposed to be a 12-week course. So that just tells you how many hours we're overcompensating. But this accelerator program is legit. And I will say, after being stalked by the person's advertisements who owns the program, I I can now feel completely comfortable and confident in our decision of spending the amount we did to join this program. And I'm really excited to share some nuggets here and there that we have learned and implemented from it with our team. As you may have noticed, everything has been updated. So 2021 has been awesome. The last 2 weeks of 2020, we always spend them restructuring and doing administrative restructuring, assessing, and preparations for the next year. So a lot of that time was spent up to the next day. I'm not even going to say to the wee hours of the morning, up to the next day, just working on and implementing this and implementing the moving pieces in our business as it relates to it. So you'll notice we have all new websites. Completely updated platform functionality. You'll notice it's a lot of little things that have changed. And we are really excited about that because that is what we are about. We are about progress, and we want to make sure we can be a bridge for as much of our community as we can. And through implementing a lot of the things we have learned over the course of these last 3 weeks, I can honestly say it is effectively happening. We had somebody, one of our clients that we do consults with on the business side, we had him reach out to us today to tell us to stop stalking him because he's seeing our business ads all over every app he opens up. Right. And so that was amazing. It was amazing to see that, right? Because that means that we're reaching who we're trying to reach. That also means that we're connecting with the like minds who are ready to build further. So that boosts me. That boosts me a lot. And it gave me a lot more confidence. If you can either, when it comes to business, and I'm talking to all the entrepreneurs out there, when it comes to business, the way for your business to progress, you can either invest more time or more money in it. And this was one of those monetary investments we made that did require the initial time sacrifice to get the infrastructure right. But it is now allowing for an ongoing harvest to transpire. And so that's what we encourage everybody. Everybody can't get into things that we're getting into at the point we're getting into them. That does not mean you can't start to ask the questions to take advantage of it based on where you are. And so I say that to say this. So my analogy for tonight was, it's 8 o'clock. Yep. My analogy for tonight was, you can be the farmer, right? Who has this harvest at his disposal and has all these extra resources as leverage at his disposal, or you can be the person trying to negotiate with the farmer to have a piece of his harvest. And our number one goal this year is to make sure as many of us can be the farmer as possible. And so, what does that mean? That means I want as many people within our community, right, um, to be able to be in a place where they can be the source instead of, or the supplier instead of the person seeking it. You know, um, just with living, you're going to have to consume things. With living, you're going to have to buy things, tap into resources outside of what you possess, things like that. But it gives you a lot more freedom, flexibility, and leverage to be in a place where you are a source for something as well. So we are strongly, strongly encouraging people that this become the time where you prioritize learning a strategy, right? This past week, Bitcoin hit an all-time high of 42,000. And because it hit 42,000, it was trending. You start seeing people who literally have been, who may have even hit you up for a couple of bucks now talking about how they got Bitcoin and how it's like doing amazing. But they got in that Bitcoin at 30, 35,000 just for it to go to 42,000. And if you have no knowledge in Bitcoin, and they were still buying at 42,000, $5 there, $10 there. And this is not to condemn investing or people at least making an attempt to invest. This is to now be very intentional about informing and educating you about the process to investing, right? I showed my Bitcoin gains when it hit 32,000. I was already at 150%. No, I was already at 200% gains at that point, right? And that was because I did the fundamental work to learn and research and do all the necessary due diligence on Bitcoin when it was at 5,000, when it was at 4,000, when it hit 20,000 last year, right? So when Bitcoin pulled back as a part of the entire market flash crash, when it hit 6 and 7 and 8,000, I was ready. I had the money waiting to be able to toss several $100s in at once, right? Because it's one of those things that's very volatile. So you need to be able to pounce when it's time instead of jumping in, because it's like FOMO will be your worst enemy when it comes to certain types of investment avenues. Bitcoin is one of those. If you're the type of person to jump in because everybody else is now jumping in, it's going to put you in a situation where it's like those people that you got to remember, you don't know the mindsets of everybody else investing. I'm a long-term investor. I'm a fundamental investor. Your numbers have to add up. Things have to make sense, like logically. I need to understand how this money is made, right? Because any investment that is an investment that is long term and fundamental, it means you have concrete evidence to back up why this is making money, why it's going to continue to make money and continue to progress down whatever path you think is progressing it down, for your money to be able to accrue and add up to be worth more valuable than what you already put in. And so with this Bitcoin thing, people assume, I saw a status that made me realize that a lot more people are hopping into it because you can now do it through Cash App, and because they heard whispers about it, or it made a headline real quick. They were like, it only goes up. That is a lie. There is no investment vessel that only heads in one direction. That is never the case. Everything has pullbacks. Everything has market corrections. Because why? It's not just long-term fundamental investors in there. There are some dividend investors in there. There are some day traders in there. There are some swing traders in there. There are some option traders in there. Now you can't options trade Bitcoin really, but the point is, it's all these. And then there are institutional investors in there with millions and trillions of dollars that they can put into anything, any investment model that they want to strategically. You have no idea how big money. There are algorithms that trigger certain stuff to sell if it drops down from a certain percentage and things like that. You have no idea what big money could impact your little tiny investment into something, right? So it is really, really important if you're going to choose to invest in something and you're not a day trader, and you're not the type of person and I want to be very clear. There's a difference between a fundamental investor, there's a difference between a trader, and then there's a difference between a speculative investor. Understand who you are. Day traders, they're technical investors. So they're not doing the work I'm doing where they're looking at earnings and they're studying years of performance and seeing what growth ratio and percentages these companies are year over year and stuff like that. They're not looking at pipeline products in detail and stuff like I am, right? But they're looking at charts. They're studying and mastering trends of charts. They're studying the technicals that comes with a certain stock's performance, and they're basing decisions off that off of that information. And quite frankly, I feel like day trading is just a supplemental job. If you give up long-term fundamental investing, which you can start to do passively, right? You tap into it a couple of times over the year, maybe earning calls, maybe another thing that may cause you to look into it is if they have I'm heavily invested in biotech. So FDA reviews, pipeline drugs, stuff like that is going to force me to have to be more attentive to it, because those types of determinations can make or break the outcome of that actual stock's value, right? But the average person, they're day trading based on technicals. There's still cues that they depend on, and there are things they have to stalk borderline to make sure they're tracking it and paying attention. And they have to be even more high alert on their investments to effectively do it that way. And then there are speculative traders. A speculative a speculative investor, I'm not even going to say a trader. A speculative investor is somebody, they heard about something, or they saw some type of headline about it, or a couple of people posted about it on their social media timeline, stuff like that. And now they're just throwing money in it because they assume if it went up for these people, it's going to go up a little bit more for them to make some money. They have no knowledge of the technicals. They have no knowledge of the fundamentals on that company. They don't have any actual concrete evidence, be it technical evidence or fundamental evidence, to back up why they're spending what they're spending, or on whatever investment model they're using. And in those situations, then it becomes a set of circumstances where you have to realize that you run the risk of losing that instead of making anything from that, right? The first thing I asked the person yesterday, when I saw her posting about Bitcoin, I said, "Are you still buying?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "Why?" She said, "Oh, well, I just started investing like a few months ago, and I just wanted to add it as I go." I said, "Bitcoin is way too high to buy now. There's going to be a major correction and pullback. And this is the time that if you don't have any knowledge about Bitcoin, right? The thing that made me realize that there may have still been needed to be some work done on the due diligence, right? Is because I said Bitcoin was just $6,000, and they said when Bitcoin was $6,000 halfway through 2020. Halfway through 2020. That means within the last 6 to 7 months, Bitcoin was in single digit thousands. So For you to be throwing money at something where, unless you have hundreds or thousands, quite frankly, to be able to throw at whatever price point it hits, you're not getting the leverage you need for this investment to give you a return on it. You're guessing. And the worst thing you can do is guess what money that you could definitely use for life. Like, you need to be in a 6-figure up net worth to feel like you got money to blow. And majority of us aren't, but we're willing to do whatever it takes to get rich quick. And facts of the matter is, quick riches don't happen unless you win the lottery and it leaves just as fast, or unless at some point you do the work. The work is different. Trust me, doing due diligence for some fundamental investments is completely different than slaving away at somebody's 9 to 5. It is a completely different set of work criteria, but it is still work. I still have to research. I probably learned more from doing due diligence on fundamental investments than I ever learned in a classroom. But it is work. And it is work that allows for me to now put this money aside, let it grow, and focus on other stuff. We took one consult in the last 3 weeks because we shut down all of our consultations in an effort to focus on our administrative stuff. We're already starting to see returns on the administrative infrastructure stuff we were working on, right? So it's a situation where you have to understand that the work is different. It's different. It allows for you to, and the type of work we're doing at this point is short-term sacrifice, long-term rewards. So it's really, really imperative to be very strategic and intentional about how you give your time. I think the best part about having those ads pushed through in those random places, the thing that made me so happy about that is because it puts you on your stuff, right? If you're a business owner, strategically, you have some things to get in place. Last year you emptied out a bank account to keep your business afloat, to fund your business, to start your business. This is the time to now be thinking, how can I use what I got to leverage? This is the time to now be like, all right, they've been talking about this credit thing. I need to understand what they mean off this credit. Like, how does credit thing gonna help me? I'll tell you this, we haven't paid for nothing out of our bank accounts. Our bank accounts have been growing, and our credit, we've been drawing certain portions of it down very slowly and strategically, or we're tapping into the business credit, which at the end of the day, if it all works out or if it all falls apart, we're not going to be on the line for any of that. We can just rinse and repeat through a couple of businesses and get back to where we were or build on it further. And that's how you have to be very intentional and strategic at this point to allow for yourself to build foundational building blocks that you can constantly add on to, versus find yourself taking one step forward, 3 steps back. That only happens if you're not being very intentional in the steps you're taking forward. Like, Bitcoin had a border. You get what I'm saying? That's a huge difference. That is a very huge difference. And so Bitcoin is literally just one thing. I have other stocks that are doing even more phenomenal, which is great, right? But our goal this year is to encourage businesses to get out of their bank accounts and get to utilizing credit, whether it's personal credit you build in the process of preparing to transition to business credit, or whether it's now really taking the time to establish your business credit so you never have to even worry about your personal credit again, right? So that's going to be the number one goal we have this year for businesses. Get out of your bank account, get to building business credit, or get to building your personal credit as leverage you can use until you transition into having your business credit established and progress the way you need for leverage. That's number one goal for our businesses this year. For parents, our goal is to get you able to not have to sacrifice your well-being, your income, or your financial stability of your household by now having a full-time parent kids that are at home, or having to put them in high-risk childcare facilities to sustain your livelihood. right? We really want to get you with some fundamental little techniques you can use and little practices you can implement to change that. Um, I'll go for our youth, right? We met a couple of youth this past 2 weeks ago, actually, at the first Black flea market of this year, and we were so excited to meet the 16-year-olds because the 16-year-olds had just started their jobs, right? So it doesn't matter how old you are, you can start to invest. Right. So this is a really great time to start teaching our youth how to invest in different investment avenues that are really great for them to start learning the fundamentals and implementing now. And then secondly, to start laying the foundation for them to either tap into building credit as a family or tap into preparing to have trade lines, right? Because this is a really great time where they can technically buy access to a trade line, be on a trade line, build their, ultimately, these trade lines are going to be building their credit over the next 2 years. As soon as they hit 18, they can start to implement the last steps of our strategies to have credit at their disposal and leverage to now proceed with whatever direction they want to move in life, right? So that's the goal for the youth. Even if you're a college student, this is a really great time to be learning all of these things simultaneously. For the business owners, for the families, this is going to be your time today, right now. Invest in having options. Number one thing you're going to do is you're going to start your budget. I know nobody hates the budget. Guess what? There are tons of apps for it. What's our favorite one? Honeydew. Get a app. Join a app. Link it to all of your and stop the I spend cash to balance my budget. No, you don't. You spend cash so nobody can hold you accountable. Um, Honeydew is a really great one. You can link it to literally all your bank accounts and it will track your transactions and you can then assess them and identify exactly what they are, right? It'll list exactly what the amounts are. It'll pull it straight. It'll acknowledge every single transaction done from an account. So whether they happen on a card or whether they happen auto draft, something like that, it's awesome. And the awesome thing that I really love about Honeydew is it'll call you out if you've been spending more at any given time of the at any given month compared to prior months. So it really allows for you to catch spending habits that you might be taking on or developing that aren't in your best interest, right? So Honeydew is a great way to start. You can do it as an individual or you can do it as a family, right? That's what I really love about it because then it allows for everybody. And you can, and as a family, you don't, everybody doesn't have to see everything. You can literally set it up where only certain accounts are accessible by you or seen by you, even within this family app together. Right. And you can leave notes on it and you can and you can do follow-ups with each other, respond to it. It's like a social media app for your finances. It's amazing. I love it. But it's only connected to you and your people. It's not like a Venmo or anything like that. No, there's no like main timeline where other people can see it. So that's number one. That budget. Get serious about it. If you are a business owner and you have done you use your vehicle for anything, go capture. I know we're 11 days in, so you might be off by a couple of miles. Go capture what's on your speedometer right now. It's time for you to be tracking the mileage you spent that you used this year connected to business. Go capture an image of your speedometer now. This is as close you're going to get to the first. 111 is as close as you're going to get to the first. Go capture this picture of your speedometer. You need to start tracking your mileage for the year. Mileage is a huge deduction to get slept on. This year, we have genuinely exclusively used, 2020, after March, we exclusively used our car for business. So literally 9 months out of last year, we exclusively used our car for business because we didn't have to go to none of the schools. The only things we were leaving out for were business related transactions. Game changer, right? And we use half the miles that we would normally use in a year because of the pandemic. Shout out to us saving on repairs. But yeah, so that's going to be a huge one. Start your budget. If you're a business owner, you need to be counting all of those things. The most powerful thing about being a business owner is the deductions that allows for whatever earnings you to come in to be taxable at a lower rate because you have less earnings after all your deductions. In the event you are somebody that knows you need to be taking your credit seriously, do it now. Don't wait. You are making an investment to have some type of sustainability for yourself. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. You know, the goal isn't to have you get it just to sabotage. The goal is to have it as a resources to implement other strategies. But it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Like, no, we're not doing it this year. Nobody, and we're not waiting around for no stimulus bills to be passed because we've seen how long the first one took. And this time, despite the fact that it's all Democratic led everything, it does not mean there will be cooperation. It is still going to be messy, you know. And so the goal is for you to be self-sustainable with or without those extra, let those be added incentives, right? Don't let those be your savior. Nobody's coming to save us, period. You got to be a part of your own rescue. Save ourselves. So anywho, that's that, right? Those are the investments you're gonna make in yourself today. Those are the strategies you're gonna implement immediately. In the event you could use something, you're like, I'm old school. I like paper and pencil. Well, reach out to us. We have a paper budget. We have a paper budget tracker, and we have an Excel budget tracker that you can utilize to do your budgets more privately in the event that's the route you want to go as well. Um, we are super excited to announce this. I wasn't supposed to be saying anything about, but I'm saying it anyway. We are going to roll out an exclusive Facebook group for all of our previous attendance of every life course. So you guys know we have the Get Your Life course, which is our all-encompassing everything blueprint course. We're rolling out an exclusive Facebook group for that. And that one will be up next month, if I'm not mistaken. You'll be able to join that. All of the resources that are provided through the course will also be in there. So we are really, really ecstatic about that. They'll also be in there, but you'll now have a central place where you can be able to ask any follow-up questions because we want to see you implementing. Like nothing we do is just to get your money and have you go on your way. Our goal is to equip you with information and make sure you can successfully implement to sustain. That is really, really important to us. We are not about just talk, and we have all lived through our share of struggles that we were able to use this exact same information by implementing to overcome a plethora of things, from homelessness to identity theft to credit card and different types of fraud done in our name, to convictions, repossessions, you name it. We really had to pretty much battle everything on some level between our team. And now we are at a place where we are self-sustainable, progressing, and we're making even more moves. They're the ones you guys know about. And then there are so many other happening that we don't discuss because it doesn't directly impact our day-to-day business or what we're talking about with you all. But let me tell you, do not be your anchor. Don't be the anchor in your life. You get what I'm saying? Like, do not be the anchor in your life at all. This is a time where you can pivot into the best version of your life, or this is a time where you can suffer through the worst version of your life. And I'm going to tell you, it ain't the same. Eating noodles and shopping at Dollar Tree out of like necessity, and eating noodles but having shrimp steak and whatever I could possibly want at my disposal, like it's different. Going to Dollar Tree because I want the cheapest newspaper, not because that's the only because that's the only store I can afford to buy more than one thing in. Like it's a completely different culture. Having the freedom to be like, this week is a self-care week, I'm not working, and not wondering if my stability or if my bills are going to be able to be paid next month, or if I'm going to be able to afford um, to get to where I need to go, or if I'm gonna have enough money for gas, or all these. Like I'm telling you, it is not the same. And don't let anybody convince you that the glamorization of making it from the bottom to the top is something you should want to have that badge of honor. It is not a badge of honor. It's a battle scar, bruh. It is not a privilege. In the event you can avoid it, in the event you can evade the worst of it, do that. Especially if you're in a position where you can be equipped with the resources out the gate. Like the real, the real gag is not going through it. It's not making it through it. It's avoiding it completely and not needing that backstory to exist in that place and be grateful for that place you're in. So anyway, I said all that to say the free masterclass is happening on the 23rd, January 23rd at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can sign up now, and you do not have to attend live if you can't. I strongly recommend attending live because there's nothing better than a free opportunity to ask all your questions with unrestricted access. So you can attend live in the event you choose to attend. Some people have opted to attend live and still want the recording. You can indicate that as well. But this is your time. Don't let this first month be your, like, I'm thinking it, but I won't do it month, because the momentum is going to just speed up with the people who are getting it done. And what's going to happen is once people get a lot done, they don't have the freedom or flexibility to backtrack all of those steps to try to help you catch up. Don't get left behind. Don't be on the outskirts watching it happen. When you have the capacity, the willpower, and access to the opportunities, information, and resources to get it done. Don't be the anchor on your own life. We love you guys to life. As always, we are always happy to see you guys. We are always happy to share with you guys. And we are always excited to start new opportunities. So let's make this year the best year of our life. Let's make sure this week we started off to be the best week of our lives. And I'm so excited. I really am. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling this new little thing I got going on, y'all. I'm really excited. We love you guys to life. If you have questions, ask your questions. Leave them in the comments of any of these posts. Like, we are super open and receptive of making sure we can share information. If something specific comes up, reach out to us. We offer tons of services for free, and it's not just going to be this free masterclass. We offer complimentary consults for a plethora of things for at least 15 to 20 minutes complimentary for us to start going over the framework of which you may want to start to work on, right? That is always an option. Check out the new site. It just rolled out. Ourstopshop.com is super basic. I know I made it easy for you. You guys can do that. The masterclass link, the free masterclass link, is going to be posted on every single platform. So wherever you're looking at this, you'll be able to see it in the description of the page. So that way you can just go straight from that page to the link to sign up. It's completely free. Share it with everybody. Help other people get the ball rolling. Quite frankly, I would love to see even more teens, those 16 and up ages, enrolled in it. This is a really great time to lay that framework for them. Stop trying to make it seem like money is a grown-ups business. No, it's not. It's a life requirement. So everybody should be educated with it. And if they're old enough to ask for something or want to spend frivolously on something, then they're old enough to learn financial literacy. Don't sleep on that. Don't neglect the children or the kids in your life by undermining the importance of teaching them these things as early as possible. So anyway, we love you guys to life as always. We can't wait to see you again next week. And have a good night, guys.